Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyev च पतितानां भावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, assembled devotees ki jai. Thank you everyone for joining and chanting so beautifully. May I know who all joined? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandvat Pranam, all glory to Srila Prabhupada. This is Neetu from Baltimore.
Hare Krishna, Neetu Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining and giving your association. Welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Mataji, please accept my humble Jai Shri Prabhupada. This is Preeti Vilasni Devidasi from Atlanta.
Hare Krishna, Preeti Vilasni Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much Mataji for joining and giving your service, giving your association and all glories to your services. Hari Bol. Is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves?
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Sudevi.
Hare Krishna, Sudevi, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Nana, for coming every single day and chanting so beautifully. Welcome to the call. Is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves? We have a couple more minutes.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Satoris to Srila Prabhupada. To Guru Maharaj, just Kirtida.
Hare Krishna, Kirtida Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and giving your sweet association. Welcome to the call. Is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves? Please go ahead. Okay. Mataji will start. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Before we start today's call, I would like to read Srila Prabhupada's quote. Today is 25th May. Do not be after these motorcars, televisions, and all nonsense things. Sporting, wine, women. Don't be after this. Simply eat sufficiently, keep your health nicely, chant Hare Krishna, realize Krishna, and go back to home. This is our philosophy. May 25th, 1974. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Haridas Varya Prabhu to enlighten us on the topic of Caitanya Bhagavat Madhya Khanda, chapter 1 to 20 verse. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhu, for joining and giving your valuable time and association this morning and enlightening us on the topic of Caitanya Bhagavat. I now hand over the call to you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity today to speak on the verses of Sri Caitanya Bhagavat. I'm very, very fortunate to be in the association of devotees who are always eager and interested to drink the nectarian pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. It is very rightly said by one poet that the whole world can be one, but the association of a devotee who is interested in singing the glories of the Lord is to be considered the greatest wealth. So today I'm very fortunate that I am amongst all of you devotees who are eager like Chataka birds looking for the nectar which is being showered by so many speakers who are like clouds containing this nectar in its full brim and showering and quenching all of your thirst. So today it's going to be a dry shower, but with the association of such devotees, I believe my words can come out to be more relishable for all the devotees. With that intent, I pray to all the assembled Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, Acharyas, Gurus, and also Shiksha Gurus and everybody seeking for their blessings so that I can speak some words which will inspire the august assembly of devotees who are assembled here. So I would like to start with Mangalacharan. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadudam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanasute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminniti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Deenatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So I'd like to share my screen. Let me know when you can see my screen. Can devotees see my screen?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, okay. So today we are reading from Chaitanya Bhagavat. In Chaitanya Bhagavat, we are reading from Madhya Khanda, chapter number 1, text number 220 onwards. So the prelude to this is Lord Gauranga is explaining to his mother the glories of what he learned and what he has, Vishwambar, what he has heard. And he is explaining about Krishna's supreme position and how we should act. And in that series, we are going to see some slokas today, 3 or 4 or 5, or how much ever the time permits. We will try to see. So text 220 and 21. Ye khane tomara nahi yashera prachara yata nahi vaishnava janera avatara. Ye khane tomara yatra mahotsav nai Indra loka hai leo taha nahi chai. Translation: any place where your glories are not heard, where the Vaishnavas do not advent, and where there are no festivals for your pleasure, I do not wish to live there, even if it is the celestial abode of Indra. So very wonderfully, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is indicating what should be the keen interest of a devotee or a bhakta. The bhakta is always interested to hear about the glories of the Supreme Lord. Tava katamritam tapta jivanam. Bhurida jana. Those devotees who are constantly spreading the holy name and also telling about the beautiful nectarian pastimes of Krishna, those are the real wealth for any devotee. In fact, that is why this Sangha is very, very glorious. Bhakti Sangha. This Sangha or community is having the center point, which is Bhakti or devotional service. And the center of devotional service is to hear the glories of the Lord. And the center of that is to practice very nicely the chanting and remembering of the Lord and doing our sadhana. So a strong conduit for us to do our sadhana is to constantly remember and hear the glories of the Lord. And just like how Vinita Gandharvika Mataji today very nicely read Srila Prabhupada's quote, what we need, we don't need the televisions, we don't need the newspapers, we don't need the restaurants. Prabhupada is saying we just need to engage in devotional service. It is the same vibe, it is the same quote that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu today here he is speaking. He is saying, I do not want to go to a place where there are no glories of the Lord which are heard. He always wants to be in the association of devotees. He doesn't want to visit a place where Vaishnavas have not advented, where there are no festivals. I do not wish to live there, even if it is the celestial abode of Indra. Now, this might seem like a very bold way of declaration, but actually, this is the mood of a Vaishnava. So, if we actually see, there are many devotees who have very nicely captured this emotion. We'll spend some time on this verse. In fact, the whole lecture can be given on this verse. But we'll spend some time. In one of the devotee poets, who is none other than Veda Vyas, he has mentioned Shrutam api anupanishidam dure hari katam amritat yamna santi dravak chitta kampashu pulakadayaha. He speaks, says, Shrutam api. Shrutam means I have heard. Api, I have heard. Anupashidam. I have heard many, 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 many times. Or I have heard a lot about what? I have heard a lot about impersonal Brahman. And this is the subject matter of all the Upanishads. So Ved Vyas is saying that I have heard a lot about the impersonal Brahman, which is the subject matter of Upanishads. But he is now doing a comparison. He is saying, but it was very far away. Yamna Shanti Dravak Chitta Kampashru Pulakadayaha. He is saying that this is far away from the nectarian descriptions of what? Harikatha Amritat. It is very far compared to the real nectar of Harikatha. Why? What is so special about Harikatha? He's saying the Harikatha does not speak about impersonal Brahman. And Harikatha speaks directly about the glories of the Lord and his pastimes. And when a person hears the glories of the Lord's pastimes, what happens? Chitta kampashru pulakadayaha. He says, first the heart begins to melt. The hard heart of stone begins to melt, becomes buttery. Love makes the heart grow fonder, and it becomes very, very soft. And when butter from solid becomes liquid, it releases the water. And where is that salty water seen? It comes through the eyes. Tears start to flow. And when the tears start to flow in that condition where one is fully engrossed in Harikatha, then the body begins to tremble, kampashu. The body begins to tremble. And naturally, when this happens, pulakadashaya, the hair stands on one end in ecstasy. And these are the sattvika bhavas, which is actually happening because somebody is hearing to Harikatha. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here is saying that this is glorious. Talking about impersonal Brahman will not give us these effects. But actually hearing Harikatha, Ved Vyas is saying that this is what we get to see. At that time, there is another devotee poet, Kavi Ratna. He mentions, Naiva Divya Sukha Bhogam Artaye, Napavargam Apinata Kamaye, Yantu Karna Vivaram Dine Dine, Krishna Keti Charanamritam Maye, Charita Amritanime. So he says, Naiva Divya Sukham Bhoga Artaye. He says there is no sense of enjoyment. Where don't you get sense of enjoyment? In the heavenly planets. There is no point. There is no meaning. There is no artha. There is no logic in engaging in the sensory pleasures of the heavenly planet. Okay, so what do you hanker for? Do you hanker for liberation? He says, Naipa Vargam Apinata Kame. I don't want liberation. So what do you want? I pray unto the lotus feet of the Lord for only one thing, that every day I get the chance to hear about your wonderful nectarian adventures in the Vrindavan forest. So this is the constant want of a devotee. He doesn't want the heavenly planets. He doesn't want to go to heaven and enjoy his sensory pleasures. All he wants is to simply enjoy the nectarian pastimes of the Lord. it is very important for us to know a story of a devotee, which I once heard when I went to Sri Rangam. This devotee's name was known as Vipranarayana. And this devotee, Vipranarayan, was constantly engaged in the service of the Lord. And his service was very simple. He will make beautiful garlands for the Lord. He was born in Kumbakonam, and he was very attached to the temples in Kumbakonam. But his mind was always, his heart was always pulling him towards Sri Rangam. So this Vipranarayan always wanted to go to this place of Sri Rangam and render service unto Sri Ranganath. So what did he do? Every day he will go to the garden, pluck different kind of flowers. He will pluck champa, he will pluck jasmine, he will pluck the roses, he will take tulsis, he will get all the fragrant flowers, get a good thread, and he will tie all of them together, constantly chanting the Lord's name. This used to be his service, and he used to make beautiful garlands for Ranganath. Krishna absolutely loves flowers. Srila Prabhupada mentions many times that flower is the smile of the Lord. And he also mentioned once, in Kali Yuga, all opulence is lost, but the only opulence that is remaining are flowers. So we should offer fresh flowers to our deities. And that's why Krishna, one of the words of Krishna, one of the names of Krishna is Vanamali. Vanamali Murali Dhari Govardhana Girivaradhari Nit Nit Makhan Chori Gopi Vanahari. So Vanamali Murali Dhari, he constantly travels with his flute in his hand, and he wears this beautiful garlands of forest flowers. He has a Vaijayanti garland, but he still would take flowers offered by his gopas, by gopis, made from forest flowers, and he will wear them. And hence he would look very, 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 very attractive for the gopis. The flowers look more beautiful adorned on the turbans of Krishna, on the hair of Krishna, on his bodily ornaments. The flowers would decorate themselves. So this is very beautiful way to look at Krishna. So this devotee Vipranarayan, his job was to thread these flowers and offer it to Lord Ranganath. At that time, very next to the Ranganath temple, there was another temple called as Uttamur temple. And the Choya Empire, this was around say 8th century, the pastime that I am narrating. The Choya Empire had many dancers in their court. And these dancers who perform cultural dances, they used to consider themselves very privileged because they had access to the king and they were giving entertainment to the king. So once there were two ladies. The name of one lady was Devi and the name of the other lady was Deva Devi. So these two ladies, they were expert dancers and they were passing by and they were very beautiful. Everybody used to adorn their beauty. And when they were passing by, they saw this gentleman, Vipranarayan, this devotee. He used to stay in the garden, always taking a thread and tying these flowers. One day, the clouds, they broke and the showers were torrential in nature. There were many, many tons of water which was getting poured from the clouds, and there was a devastating rain in and around the area. So at that time, everybody was running helter-skelter, and these two ladies, Devi and Deva Devi, they were walking by. They were trying to take shelter under a tree, but they saw that this Vipranarayan was fully drenched, sitting under that torrential rain, taking that thread, taking those flowers, removing water from the garden, engaged in service. Because he always thought that my service is the most supreme thing to do. I should always engage in this service. I should always be engaged completely in the service of the Lord. And while there was torrential rain, he was oblivious to the things that were happening in and around him. And what he did was he was singing on top of his voice. Can you imagine? In the torrential rain, there is a person who is singing. And that prayer is very, very famous. He was singing, Pachai Mamalai Pol Meni Pavalamai Kavalachangan Achuta Amarare Ayertam Kojudegenum Yechuvai Tavirian Poi Indiralogam Malum Achuvai Perinum Vende Rarangama Nagarulene. He was singing that Pachai Mamalai Pol, the forehead of the Lord is so wonderful. It is so great. And he has this dark hue. This dark hue like a green mountain. And how are his lips? His lips are very beautiful, red like bimba fruit. His eyes are red like a broad blossoming lotus. And he was seeing him as none other than the Lord Achyuta, Achyuta Amarare. And he was saying that, O Achyuta, one who never falls, even if you desire to lift me and give me liberation, give me moksha, I don't want it. Ichuvai tavayen point Indra loga malum. Even if you give me the throne of Indra, even if you give me the whole heavenly planet of Indra, I don't want. I don't even want liberation. What do you need? I just want Vaikunta. He said, no, I don't want Vaikunta. What do you need? You don't need Vaikunta. You don't need a heavenly planet. You don't need liberation. What do you need? I just want to be here rendering this service and hearing your glories. This is what Gauranga Mahaprabhu is also saying here. Even the loka of Indra, if you get, I don't want to go. I just want to be in that place where the devotees always come and they engage in the service of the Lord. This is what I need. This is what I earn for. This is what I look out for. And this is what he asked. So when the Devi and the Devi, they saw this, they spoke to each other. They said that we are the most beautiful girls in the town and he's not even taking a look at us. So then the Devi, the younger sister, she said, what do you think? He will look at you? He's singing about the glories of Ranganath. He's so attracted to Ranganath. He's talking about his reddish eyes, which is blossoming like a lotus. He's speaking about his forehead and his greenish hue. What do you think? He will not be interested in us. Then they both entered into a bet. The elder sister said that if I can sway him by my beauty, then you should become my dasi. You should become my servant. And if I cannot, I will become your servant. So they undertook this challenge. And the next day, this Devi, she came in a different attire, in a very bhakti, devotional mood. She came to Vipranarayana and she spoke in a very Vaishnavite way, capturing his heart and saying to him that I would like to engage and help you in service. And Vipranarayana, when he saw that there are other devotees who want to also do service, he accepted. And she used to render service to Vipranarayana, but always in the back of her mind, she had this thought that I should make him completely fall for my attraction. So days after days passed, Vipranarayana was more and more engaged in taking services from Devi. And when he was in this way, he was completely engaged. One fine day, she said that I have to go to my mother's house. And when she went to her mother's house, Vipranarayan followed her to her house. And everybody started speaking about this devotee. This devotee who knew none other than serving Lord Ranganath was now following this girl. And everybody said he has fallen down from his life. So much so that Devi entered her house, closed the door, and he was waiting outside, just hoping that she will come out and give him a glance. At that time, because of the services that he had rendered, very next to Ranganath, Lord Ranganath came in the palanquin from the temple precincts. And he was coming with his all pomp and glory. And he stood, the palanquin stood right in front of this Vipranarayan. But Vipranarayan even did not move his head. He was constantly looking at the house, when that door will open, when Devi will come, and when she will give a glance to him. At that time, Lakshmi and Narayan, they spoke to each other. Lakshmi said, why are you not drawing your attention from that materialistic girl to yourself, O Narayan? Why are you not giving this knowledge from within the heart to none other than Vipranarayan? Lord Narayan said, look, I am right in front of him. I have come, but he is not even interested to look at me. He is constantly looking at that girl. But Lakshmi said, no, you should actually try harder. He said, no, this is not my job. Whatever he wants, I would provide. That is my job, whatever he wants. But the mother, Lakshmi, she said, no, this is not the right way. A child might sometimes ask for mud in a plate, but it is not the job of the parents to give mud. They should see what is good for the child and what is bad for the child. So sometimes Krishna does not give what we ask because he is a perfect parent. So Krishna said, okay, seems like you want to give special mercy to this devotee. So Lord Narayan, Ranganath, he assumed a form of a little child, carried a silver vessel, knocked on the door of Devi. Her mother opened the door and he gave this silver vessel to her and said, Vipranarayan has sent this. And she was very happy, the mother and the girl. And they accepted it and closed the door. They still did not give their appointment to Vipranarayan. So all this was happening, the whole night passed, but Vipranarayan was still looking for the girl and wanted to associate, wanted to speak to her. The next day morning, when they opened Ranganath's altars, they found that one silver vessel was missing. And when they found out, they said, the maid who used to sweep the temple precincts was the same maid who used to work in Devi's house. And she said, I have seen this silver vessel which is there in Devi's house. And immediately they both were called and they said it was not given. We did not take this silver vessel from the temple. It was given to us by a small boy. Where is the boy? They said, I do not know. We have not met that boy, but he was sent by Vipranarayan. And Vipranarayan was again called, interrogated, and he was put in the jail. And the king was thinking, I know this guy is a very big devotee. Why is he acting like this? And like that, he went to sleep. And in the night, Lord Ranganath came in the dream of the Choya king. And he said, he is actually my devotee. And I wanted to correct him. So it was me who gave the silver vessel. He is actually innocent. So please do not punish him. So the king immediately got up in the morning, went and opened the prison gates. And at there, Vipranarayan was sitting there. He was thinking, when will I see Devi? Still, he was getting punished, but he was thinking, when I will think Devi. At that time, the king broke this news that Ranganath came in the dream and said that you have not stolen. And it is him who gave the silver vessel. It takes only a second, my dear devotees, for our intents to change. Just like a car which is not functioning, people will push it from behind. But the driver inside the car has to ignite the car for the car to start. So there can be many push from outside, but the person inside has to intend to start his bhakti's journey, or has to rekindle the car which has been dormant for some time. So similarly, when he heard about this beautiful point from the king that it was the Lord who had done this pastime, so that he understands that Devadevi might have hidden intentions, but the Lord's intention is always true, to help his devotees. His heart changed. At that time, he took a solemn pledge that I do not want even the liberation. Pachai Mamalai Pol Meni, Pavramai Kavalachangan. And he said, I do not want to be in that place where there are no glories of the Lord which is sung. Hence, I want to be always under the lotus feet of devotees. I would like to be one of the dust particles under the lotus feet of devotees. And from that day, he was called as Tondar Adipodi Alvar. He was known as Tondar. Tondar means devotees. Adipodi means lotus feet, dust particles. So he says that I don't want to be in a place where Vaishnavas do not step and leave their dust particles. And wherever Vaishnavas leave their dust particles, below that, I would like to always stay. And thinking like that, he wrote the beautiful verses called as Tirumalai. Malai means flowers. So he used to physically tie the flowers, and he used to render poetry, which is through flowers. And he is considered as the expansion of the flower garland of the Lord. So what a wonderful lesson he says. And he says, Indra Loga Malum, even if you give me the planet of Indra, and that is what Gauranga Mahaprabhu is saying here, my dear devotees. I do not wish to live there, even if it is the celestial abode of Indra. So where would you like to live? Which is the place that you would like to live? The answer is given by devotees. What are the answers they give? They say that I would like to be in a place where there is constant glorification of the Lord, where glories of the Lord are constantly being spoken. Which are those places? Those places are Krishna's eternal pastimes. Krishna's pastimes are mentioned. And how does that Krishna's pastime act upon us? They act upon us like a moonshine and a sandal paste. Kata Amritam, they are so nectarian, they act like a moonshine and a sandal paste. The quality of moonshine and sandal paste is they are very cooling in nature. What are they cooling us against? The plague of inauspiciousness due to material nature. The heat which is coming from this material nature, they are actually helping us cool through the moonshine and the sandal paste. And when we are showered with this moonshine and the sandal paste, what happens is we are completely submerged in the sweetness, supreme sweetness, and the sweeter than the sweet nectar. And what is that nectar? It is none other than the glories of Yashodanandan, glories about Krishna. So wherever we are hearing about the glories of Krishna, that is a beautiful place to be. And that is what Gauranga Mahaprabhu is saying. And this is what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is also writing. Seeing promotion to the heavenly planets as equal to the will of the wisp can only be applicable to one who has realized the service of Adhokshaja, or who is beyond sense perception. In other words, those who are materialists, they will not ask for such a barter. They will not ask for such a trade. Only those who are Rasika devotees, only they will ask for such sweetest of the sweet nectar. Only they can provide us with such a kind of nectar. Because the materialists, they have longing desire for sense gratification. The yogis, they have desire for liberation. But the bhaktas, they are the only one who are rasikas, who will like to submerge in this ocean of nectar, who would like to dive deep into this ocean of nectar. They will like to happily roam in this ocean of nectarian pastimes. For them, dharma, artha, kama, moksha are just like blades of grass. It is very petty for them. And even liberation, sayujya mukti, they say that it is a salty ocean. What will I do with a salty ocean when we are submerging ourselves in Krishna Katha, which is purely nectarian? So liberation is like a salty ocean. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha are like blades of grass. What they will like to hear constantly are the glories about the holy name, glories about Krishna's pastimes. Because where there are glories, the auspicious place is present there. Mad bhakta yatra gayanti tatra tishtami narada. All the auspicious rivers, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, all the holy places are present eternally at the place where the glories of the Lord are being spoken. So this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying. I would like to be always in such a place, O Mother. I don't want to go to a place which is having materialistic tendencies. Text 222 is also saying the same thing, saying that supremacy of human birth in Bharata Varsha, which is favorable for the service of Hari at the great utility for achieving the fifth goal of life. So the next verse he says, where do we get such people? Where we can constantly associate? He says, none other than Bharata Varsha. Now, previously, Bharatvarsha was the entire continent and the entire world planet which used to follow the Vedic civilization. Srila Prabhupada, in many morning conversations, he used to call Bharatvarsha as Punya Bhumi, auspicious Mother Earth. Why is it auspicious? Because Krishna planned to take birth here. Lord Ramchandra came here. Not only that, all the acharyas, they came here. All the scriptures were written on this bhumi, and naturally, scriptural center point was Bharatavarsha, and it kind of spread from here completely to all over the planet. So Bharatavarsha is considered very, very auspicious. So it is said that an intelligent person does not take interest in a place, even in the topmost planetary system, if the pure Ganges of topics concerning the Supreme Lord's activities do not flow there. So Srimad Bhagavatam says that we should be always engaged in hearing the glories of the Lord. If there are not devotees engaged in the service on the banks of such a river of piety, or if there are no festivals, which is Sankirtan Yajna, then such a place is not fit. He does not take interest. A devotee does not take interest. So there has to be Sankirtan. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is requesting all of us, Jivana sartaka kari karo paropkar. Bharata Bhumi Janmile Jivana sartak kari. He says in Adilila 9.41. One who is born, he gives two instructions. First, one is very fortunate if he is born in Bharatavarsha. Second, if he gets a human birth. Now one can appear in Bharatavarsha as a dog, as a cat, and anybody. But he says, if one gets a human birth, that too in Bharatavarsha, first Jivana sartak kari. Please, before you do paropkar, please ensure that you take up to this process very, very sincerely. This is very important. Many people focus on paropkar but forget about Jivana sartak kari. We should be engaged in Jivan Sartak Kari. We should ensure that we are instruments in the hands of Guru, which means that we follow the instructions of Guru. Srila Prabhupada used to always say, an iron, when it is red hot, it will act similar to fire. Similarly, if we want to act as per our Guru, as per our spiritual masters, as per our acharyas, as per the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then we have to be acting as Krishna's devotees, then we have to be Krishnized. Just like the iron is heated, similarly, we have to be completely devoted in Krishna's activities so that whomever we preach to, whomever we speak to, the effect does happen in their hearts. The transformation does happen in their hearts. So this Bharatavarsha is great because Krishna appeared here. He enacted his pastimes and he always mentioned about the glories. Bharatavarsha, it is being mentioned here. Bharatavarsha, Punya Bhumi. And Srila Prabhupada mentions that over the period of time, this Bharatavarsha has limited in itself. In one of the morning conversations, he mentions previously Bharatavarsha was the entire planet. And then over the course of time, he mentions that now Bharatavarsha is limited to this place of Punya Bhumi, which is from Himalayas to Cape Comorin. This is how he speaks in one of the Srimad Bhagavata morning lectures and conversations. So one should consider themselves very fortunate one who are born here. But what about devotees who are not born in this place? They are coming in touch with devotees who are preaching from this place. And we just heard that wherever the Lord's nectarian pastimes are being sung, there Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, and all the holy places are there. So that is not different from Bharatvarsha. That is not different from Vaikunta, the spiritual abode of the Lord. So this is also a matter of consciousness, that Vrindavan exists where the glories of the Lord is going to be constantly spoken. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will speak about it in the coming verses. So he says in text 223, Garbhavasa dukha prabhu eho mora bhala, yadi tora smriti mora rahe sarva kala. I do not mind the miseries of living in the womb, provided I can constantly remember you. O Lord, although the extremely miserable conditions within the womb are intolerable and heart-rending, if my constant remembrance of you remains intact while suffering such extremely miserable conditions, then they are most praiseworthy. So here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is speaking about how there are miseries living in the womb. And while there are miseries living in the womb, one has to constantly remember the Lord. And he's saying, I do not mind these miseries while living in the womb, as long as I can remember you, Krishna. So we'll do a small 5-minute exercise to remember about Krishna. This seems like very simple words, but it is very powerful when it is done between devotees. So I need your participation a bit in this exercise. We have to remember about Krishna. And there is not going to be any picture of Krishna which is going to be shared. Based on your learning and based on the number of devotees who are here, they have to share one thing about Krishna. Like I will start first. Krishna's eyes. You have to glorify Krishna and you have to remember Krishna. So whatever you have heard about Krishna, you can say. Each one of them can say. Like I can start by saying, Krishna's eyes are like fully blossomed lotus. You can just imagine, right, while you hear. So some people are writing it as well, so they can write. So those who want to write, they can write, but they can speak about it. Yes, anybody? You can unmute and say.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
Krishna's yellow garment is just like the lightning.
Ah, very nice. The flashy yellow
Like-
pitambar of Krishna is just like a lightning in a fresh rain cloud. Very nice, Mataji. More. We need to remember Krishna.
Hare
Yes.
Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Krishna's entire body is like there are 24 moons. Like his face, his forehead, his nails. So he is
Very nice.
compared to a moon. And his
Yeah.
reflection is like that of a rain cloud.
Very nice. Very nice. Rain cloud and 24 moons. Okay, very nice. More.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat, Prabhu. Krishna's eyes are like Pundarikaksha, that the lotus eyes, and his feet are glorious to the devotees.
Okay, very nice. So Krishna's eyes are like lotus. So we have said that lotus twice. So now we should not repeat every. We should cover all the parts of Krishna. We have to remember Krishna. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying.
Krishna's lips are like the bimba fruits.
One by one, one by one.
Krishna's lips are
is very captivating.
Krishna's form is very captivating. Somebody was talking about Krishna's lips. Go ahead.
like the bimba fruits.
Krishna's red bimba fruit. Okay. More.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, his feet are so soft that the Vraj Bhumi has to make the finest, give the finest dust so that it doesn't hurt him.
Yeah, and then also his legs becomes reddish in color, even if he touches the camphor dust of Vrindavan. So his feet are very soft and they are lotus-like. Somebody said his hair is like a dense dark forest. More. We have to remember Krishna. Now we have just started 4 or 5 limbs of Krishna. What more?
Krishna's form is Tribhanga Lalita.
Very nice. Krishna has a Tribhanga Lalita. He stands in a 3 bending form. Very nice. Okay.
Krishna's nose. Krishna's nose is like a sesame flower.
Sesame funk. Okay. Madhava Mamavade Eva Krishna Yadava Krishna Yadukula Krishna Champeyana Sagra Ratna Sumauktika Champeyana Sagra. Just like a sesame flower, like a champa flower.
Yeah,
It's
and
very
he
nice.
wears that beautiful pearl and the nasagra, like you just sang.
Correct. Champeyana Sagra Ratna Sumauktika Sharada Chandra Janita Madana. He's like the Sharada Chandra Janita Madana. He even defeats the beauty of the Cupid who is born from the Sharada Purnima. So he's that beautiful. He has fully blossomed lotus eyes. His bodily luster is so wonderful. He has a blue lotus, just like a blue lotus, he has a face. His teeth are like the pomegranate seeds. He wears peacock feathers as his ornaments. He has a Srivatsa on his chest. He has a Kaustuba gem just next to the Srivatsa. He wears flashy yellow garments. He wears these Vanamali forest flowers. He has a very beautiful, handsome form. Thousands and thousands of sidelong glances he puts on the gopis and they get attracted. When he walks in the forest, multitude of cows, they are surrounded by gopas as Krishna walks. But at the same time, he picks up his sweet melodious flute and he runs his leaf-like fingers on those flute. While he plays his flute, his left shoulder just dips a little. And when his left shoulder dips, the flowers on his turban, which is champa, chameli, all those wonderful flowers, they start to fall on his curly locks of hair, which is dense as the dark forest, falls on his shoulders. And he looks up with his eyebrows, which are like a perfect bow. And his soft lips are a little bit pluckered because he just blew into this Venu and Vamshi and he created such a beautiful sound. His large eyes are shooting crooked glances and also sending the 5 arrows of the Cupid, attracting all the 5 senses of the gopis. He stands in a Tribhanga posture. His crown is made of beautiful champaka flowers. His left shoulder lowers and he walks in a charming, carefree, winding gait with disheveled hair. And wherever he looks, he casts his ocean of mercy. That is what the devotees mention about remembering Krishna. This is just him playing flute, a simple scene, but the Shastras give so wonderful similes, because they are just similes, because the Lord is much greater than what these similes are. His beauty is so wonderful. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu he's saying here that he is beautiful. And I would like to constantly remember you, Krishna, even though I am undergoing so many trials and tribulations in the womb. So many miseries are there in the womb. And this is what Kunti Maharani is praying as well. You know, because you have given us back the kingdom and you're going back to Dwaraka, it seems like we won't see your lotus face anymore. You were always with us because there was some kind of miseries which were coming to us, but we would like to see you again and again. Vipadat shantu taras sashvat tatra tatra jagat guru bhavato darshanam yatsyad apunar bhava darshanam. I want those calamities again and again and again so that we could see you again and again and again. Because if we see you once, Krishna, if we see you once, there is no more birth and death. So this is what was also felt by Tondaradipudi Alvar when he was singing. And when he heard in that prison that Lord Ranganath actually came and rescued me from Maya, at that time only he sang, Ranga Pura Vihara Jaya Kodanda Rama Avatara Raghuvira Shri Ranga Pura Vihara. All these songs which are emanating from the hearts of the devotees are nothing but remembrance of the Lord. They're constantly remembering. When poem actually comes out, a poet actually writes only when he remembers those sweet, sweet, sweet nectarian touch of the Lord in their lives. And such beautiful poems are recorded in a book like Padyavali. Rupa Goswami writes right in the front, I have collected this nectar. This is Padyavali. This is the nectarian, sweet Kalpataru tree and the sweetest fruit that we can ever access. My Guru Maharaj often says that every day he immerses himself in Padyavali. And it is very true. It's a nectarian ocean where every verse is so wonderful, which are nothing but beautiful, sweet nectarian realizations of the devotees. So when we are getting such a nectar, if misery is just coming our way and we have to face that misery, we don't mind. Because the nectar, the destination, the result is much, much, much more sweeter than the small prick that comes to us. So this is what Kunti Maharani is wishing for. And this is the example given. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying the same. And finally he says, which will have the only verse that we will be able to take, O Lord, grant me the mercy that you will not send me to any place where remembrance of your lotus feet is absent. So one has to remember the lotus feet of the Lord. And for that, wherever devotees are there the lotus feet of the Lord is constantly glorified. So one has to always be in the place of devotees. One should not look for a private moment when there are devotees available in Galore speaking about Krishna's glories. Because all the material strife can be checked, can be arrested by constantly getting engaged and serving the lotus feet of the Lord. When one finds attachment towards the lotus feet, then there is no hatred, envy in the heart. The lotus feet of the Lord are the constant source of bliss for all the living entities. And they act as the Bhavat Potam, they act as the perfect boat to ferry the jivas from this material world to the spiritual world. So one has to always pray. And what a wonderful association we have got in this Bhakti Sangha Japa group. That irrespective of whichever physical place we are in, through the medium of these lectures, we are able to constantly hear and remember the Lord and remember that we have to serve his lotus feet. So I consider this as a greatest fortune that you all are helping to spread Srila Prabhupada's movement and giving association through your ears, through your participation, and helping me grow in devotional service and to speak about Lord Chaitanya and to speak about Chaitanya Bhagavat, which is such an esoteric scripture. I more and more feel that I'm not qualified to speak on these verses. But I believe that by speaking and constantly understanding realizations from others, I one day would get a little drop of mercy from Nitai Chaitanya, so that one day I can understand at least one letter of these verses. So I thank again and again to all the organizers who are relentless, Preeti Vilasini Mataji, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, and the many others who are involved in this program to constantly call me again and again to give me a chance to speak on these verses. I cannot thank all of you immensely for this opportunity. I thank once again all the devotees who have been here, eagerly listening to some ramblings of mine and my realizations. But please continue to shower your mercy upon me so that I can also relish the way you all are relishing from various speakers the true nectar of Krishna Katha. Yadastras kalitam kinchit vidvam sat purayantu tat yadastrat saushtubam kinchit tad guror evamenehi. So if you found any mistakes in this rendition, those truly belong to me. But if you found anything nice, all those glories go to my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Indra Swami Maharaj, and also goes to all the wonderful devotees, Vaishnavas, Shiksha Gurus, and everybody else. Thank you very, very much. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. If there are any questions, comments, we can discuss. Hare Krishna. I see more answers on the chat. Very, very wonderful.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for such a beautiful class. Very, very nice meditative session on Lord Krishna, Prabhuji. But you were just telling like that, from your heart, all the beautiful futures of the Lord. Is there anywhere it is written so we can at least memorize? We can't put like you in our heart, but at least if I'm speaking for myself, I can memorize it so that I can eventually one day can speak within my heart, from my heart.
Yeah, I think Mataji, in the Padyavali itself, somewhere in verse number 49 or 50, where Krishna's many features are being mentioned, I will see if I can get a hang of it. In Padyavali, there is a section where Krishna's form is being meditated, and a lot of poets have written. So there are around, say, 5 to 6 verses which actually describe all these features, what I just mentioned. So one can meditate. I can maybe send you those quotes.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very grateful to you. And also how nicely the quote of today's Srila Prabhupada was related to the class. It is always so nice to see how Srila Prabhupada arranges the day for us. It's very nice. Thank you, Prabhuji, once again for such a beautiful class. We have one raise hand. Krishna Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
No, no.
Prabhu, I was hearing your lectures. Your lectures always glorification of different, all kinds of temples, and also when you are asked that meditating of Lord Sri Krishna's transcendental form and Padavali. So I don't know how to ask these questions, but still I will ask because I know I haven't got initiated yet. So I'm just saying that do we need to have a had to have an adhikar to meditate on it, or is going to be like we need to get trained because is how we in
One, so if I understood your question, Mataji, that is there a qualification to remember the Lord? One has to be initiated or not? So I will answer this question in this way. Every jiva has the right to call out to the Lord, initiated or uninitiated. That every son or every daughter has the right to call out to the Lord. But how to call out so that
no sorry
catches
Prabhuji, the bhakti adhikar, bhakti adhikari,
Bhakti
not the
Adhikari.
yes.
Correct. So I'm saying that how to call out the Lord is actually a very nice process, which is taught in bhakti through a guru. So one might cry constantly to catch the attraction of the parents, but if they should also know the pulse of the parents. So that knowledge is given by guru in the form of bhakti. So to call out is always there. It is inherent in us. We are Krishna's part and parcel. But how to call out, how to cry, that only a guru can teach us. So bhakti adhikari, so one has to yearn for a master who will teach us nicely to cry, to nicely to glorify. And once we get, so that's what Gaurang Mahaprabhu is saying. I don't want to go to a place where Vaishnavas don't advent. Why? Because he wants to know the Krishna Katha only through the Vaishnavas. So even if you are not initiated, that is okay. We should keep kindling the flame of devotion, and we should accumulate all these devotion. And the day we get the spiritual master, he will deposit this entire accumulation into Krishna's bank account, and then will flow the constant nectar of Krishna's glorifications through the voice of the spiritual master. And we always engage in those services. So Bhakti Adhikari is naturally every jiva can reach out to Krishna, but it is necessary that we go through a guru disciplic parampara system to really reap the benefit.
Yeah. And Prabhuji, one more question. I know is irrelevant, but I mean I couldn't help myself. I got to ask, so please forgive me. I'm just asking. Like, I mean, in path of bhakti, does the games of life is also we need to be part of that, or we can just don't want to be? I mean, don't without game of life. What I don't understand, but I can see it does exist something, but it sounds it's like
what is game of
games
life?
of life.
The life in itself? Is that what you mean?
No,
by
like thoughtful games.
You mean to say playing games which are thoughtful
No,
in nature? No, I didn't understand game of life. What does that mean?
it's like I cannot make you understand, but it's like when I can see, I can just see that the games of life exist, and it is intelligent, thoughtful games, and it's called games of life. So can we do? Does it interfere in our bhakti life, or the peoples cannot understand, cannot deal with this, and it's kind of like a obstacle in path of bhakti life. So when you really take shelter, initiated, I want to ask actually, the is devotees life does exist, the games of life, or is this like normal? Is it normal religious people's life? It does exist.
Okay, so first of all, when we practice devotional service, we don't see life as different and bhakti as different. Bhakti is the way of life. So when we constantly get trained, bhakti becomes the way of life. Life is, there is no two streams. There is no two streams like, today morning I will execute life. Life.exe will be executed. and after 12 o'clock, bhakti.exe will be executed. No, this is not like that. Right from the time we get up, say our morning prayers, keep our feet on the ground. Before keeping the feet on the ground, there is bhakti. That means we ask for forgiveness to Mother Earth. So there is bhakti. So right now, just getting out of the bed is also bhakti. So bhakti is the way of life. And this needs to be trained. And we will get to know when we are in association with devotees. So for devotees, when they are trained, life might throw many miseries. Like how you mentioned, the game of life might throw many sad and down points. But bhakti will give us the courage to overcome the fear. Fear is not absence, courage is not absence of fear. Courage is awareness of the presence of Krishna. So when we are aware of the presence of Krishna in our life, that is bhakti, and that will help us tide over the game or flow of life, which will throw us miseries in our path. I hope I could make that clear.
Yes, Prabhuji. You just saying, I will just repeat it. When you are really Krishna conscious, fully absorbed in it, it's not, we are not absorbed yet. I can tell about myself. So when you're really absorbed, so whatever all the things is looks like part of the life, but actually it's illusions. Or sometime also some other way, but it's actually it's not Krishna's intelligence, but it's also some part of like some kind of thing which I cannot make it, but we need to be Krishna conscious, then we can
Yeah, you can understand like that. And if you have confusions whether this is life or Krishna conscious, you should approach a senior and try to clarify.
Okay, Prabhuji, pray for me so that I got initiated, Prabhuji.
Oh, Jai, all glories. Now the path of life is more glorious. There are no obstacles, because whenever you meet obstacles, your kind spiritual master will just kick the blocks out of this universe so that you can run towards Krishna. That's what initiation is. Spiritual master just kicks away all the miseries before we think to say it is misery. So all glory to you, Mataji. Your constant association in this Sangha has got you to initiation. Thank you very much.
Please also pray for me that I can also slow and steady.
All the devotees out here are like showering clouds. They are all sending you the wishes. Hare Krishna. I see one question. Oh, okay, no questions, just comments. Anybody else?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu, thank you so much. Such a beautiful, beautiful meditative class, and you really churned out the purports and echoed the emotions that Chaitra Mahaprabhu was describing here. Thank you for taking beautiful examples, the lovely storytelling, and the beautiful brainstormer as well. Thank you again, Prabhu. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Prabhu,
Thank you,
can I also know at which verse you stopped today?
Which?
Verse,
Sorry?
which verse you stopped today?
224, Mataji.
224.
I think 220.
About 224. Okay.
Yes, 224.
Okay. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Koti Koti Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
With the permission of Adji Preeti Vilasini and Advocate Shri Sundari Mataji, can you please sing one Vaishnava song, whatever you like to sing?
Okay, so we'll just sing if there are no more questions. So if there are any more questions. Okay. Yeah, Vinite Gandharvika Mataji.
Please, Prabhuji, please go ahead and sing, Prabhuji.
Okay. So I think I'll sing the same. This is one of my favorite prayers to put Krishna to sleep. And it is almost the time here and in India, which is to put Krishna to sleep. So what I sang in the lecture as well, which is Mamava Mahadava. I think Shukakara Krishna Prabhu is here. He's an expert Carnatic singer. So please excuse me for me to croak like a toad. So, but I'll just sing one charana of this. This was composed by Narayana Tirtha. So yes, our Vaishnava songs are also galore, But I like this song because this actually is in a raga which is called as Nilambari. This Nilambari raga is generally used to put Krishna to sleep. And this is how Mother Yashoda would sing, not like me, but generally those who are expert singers, they can rendition this song in a very nice way. Madhava Mamavade Eva Krishna Yadava Krishna Yadukula Krishna Madhava Mamavade Eva Krishna Yadava Krishna Yadukula Krishna Sadhu Janadhara Sarva Bhava Sadhu Janadhara Sarva Bhava Keshava Madhava Radha Ramana Keshava Madhava Radha Ramana Madhava Mamavade Eva Krishna Yadava Krishna Yadukula Krishna Ambujalochana Kambushubha Griva Ambujalochana Kambushubha Griva Bimbadara Chandra Bimbanana Champayana Sagra Ratna Sumauktika Champayana Sagra Lagna Sumauktika Sharada Chandra Janita Madana Madhava Mamavade Eva Krishna. So he's saying Madhava Mamava Deva Krishna, O Madhava, O Lord of the goddess of fortune, O Krishna, Yadava Krishna, O you are one who is born in the Yadukula, you are a Yadava Krishna. You are one who is actually very, very dear to the Sadhu Jana, to all your devotees, Sarva Bhava, and you give them all blessings. Ambuja Lochana, you have lotus-like eyes. Kambu Shubha Griva, and when you actually breathe, your neck actually makes 3 lines, which is like the conch shell. Bimba Adara, you have beautiful Bimba Adharaha, which is like the Bimba fruits. You have the lips like a Bimba fruit. And your face is like the moon, and the blue lotus. And Champe and Asagra, you have the champa flower, the sesame flower. Your nose is like that. And you have a Ratna Sumauktika. You have a gem which is between your nostrils. And you even put to shame the Cupid who is born. And you are actually the Cupid who is born during the Sharad Purnima, who is appeared in a very beautiful way. In Sharada Chandra Janita Madana, you are like the Cupid who has come out in a fully resplendent moon of the Sharad Purnima days. So I hope that, sorry for my singing, but it's a very nice song to put Krishna to sleep, our deities to sleep. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Jai
Prabhuji.
Ho, Koti Koti Dandat
Wonderful
Pranam,
singing,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Vrinda Gopika Mataji, for asking that request. And on your request, Prabhuji gave a very wonderful bhajan for us. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very nice singing. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Very beautiful.
Yes, Prabhuji, very, very beautiful. Thank you so much. So if there are no more questions or realizations, we can close the call here. I would like to offer my obeisances to Prabhuji and all the Vaishnavas assembled on the call. Vancha kalpatarobhyasya kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Grace Haridas Varya Prabhuji ki jai. Hari bol.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavad.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, dear.